the only people.
How you doing today, ma'am?
Hey, I'm good, Shawn. How are you?
It was good. We are getting to know each other right here, right now.
We
First
are.
time ever.
First time. I watched your documentary last night.
I'm honored.
It's great.
Thank you so much.
I thought it should be longer. I was like, that's it.
Andrew tells me he could have made like a three-hour film on it, and I'm like, why didn't you?
Yeah. But it's also good too because some people's attention spans are not as long, and so I think it's like a good intro film to you. And I thought he did a wonderful job.
He crushed it. He crushed it.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, Andrew Chabet, the director of the documentary 100 Miles to Redemption that they did on my story, has saw fit to develop this into a feature film, and he's currently in the process of getting that made. And Andrew connected me with Allie, and Allie is possibly going to be playing my sister in this movie.
That'd be great.
And so the fact that we're even sitting here having this conversation is just a surreal thing, and it's very nice to meet you.
Yeah,
I got to learn a bit of. Thank you. I got to learn a little bit about you. You're very, very talented in multiple different areas.
Thanks.
And so I'm excited to hear about all of that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know where to begin.
So what are your biggest things?
My biggest things. I've been making music since I was a kid. I started playing violin when I was 7. Started in classical, and then growing up in North Texas. Are you from? No, you're from Ohio.
Yep, Youngstown, Ohio. But
I'm
a Texan now, though, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like I've been here long enough.
How long have you been in Texas?
07.
Oh yeah, I think over 10 years you can call yourself a Texan.
I just had a major moment recently when it dawned on me that I've lived in Texas for almost 20 years. And I was
20 years, yeah. Oh my God.
Like in 2 years, it'll be almost 20 years. And
have you been in San Antonio the whole time?
No, so I'm in Austin.
Oh, okay.
So with the team, the amazing team and people I work with are down here.
Yeah.
So I come down here to do this. But
okay, cool.
I'm definitely down in the community here too.
Yeah.
But
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, then you must love it. 20 years.
I'm a Texan now for sure.
What about the summers though? That's the hardest thing I think for people to adjust to is just like how hot it gets.
Do you know what the secret for me for summer was?
What?
The sauna. As soon as I go in the sauna every day after the gym. It's just like my normal routine. But that never was for a long time. And so I started noticing it'll be like midsummer and I'm like outside doing yard work. And I remember doing it with my buddy, and he does landscaping for a living. And he was sitting there dying, sweating, and I was fine. And it dawned on me. I was like,
you're already
acclimated from being in the sauna all the time.
All right, that's the key.
So I don't think it hits me as hard, but don't get me wrong, Texas summer is brutal.
So maybe the way to prepare for climate change and global warming is actually to just do more saunas.
You might have just solved it.
You
might have just solved it right there. That's good.
If we can't stop it, we can at least prepare for it. Oh, right.
Right.
And it's good because it detoxes you. You sweat and you...
100%.
Yeah.
Good for your heart, good for metabolism, everything.
Yeah. I am dreading it a little bit. But I think it's like the first summer... I just got back to Austin. So I was in LA for many years, moved there initially in 2006. And then at the end of the pandemic, went to Nashville for a couple years because I was just like, I'm ready to try another place. Nothing was happening in California. Like during the pandemic, it was like, it took so long for things to get back up and running. And so I went to Nashville for a couple years, ultimately found that wasn't my live place. I'm happy to go there for work, but
so when you're in LA, when you're in Nashville, you're pursuing movies, you're pursuing music.
Yeah, in Nashville, I was trying to go more in the music direction, but I had a survival job, and I ended up doing less music there than I had done.
Oh,
and
really?
It was something about I don't know. There's a science to the way that they operate there, and it felt a little stifling, and so I just felt like it wasn't necessarily for me long term, although I've recorded there in the past and I'm happy to go there and do rights and record there again. But I was already kind of close to New York, so I went from there to New York and was there for a year. And side quested, did real estate and hospitality there because you got to make money, and it's a hard place to live. And it's cold most of the time. Right. So I was like, if I'm not going to be a millionaire in New York, I don't want to be here. Right. So but I'm glad that I did it because I feel like New York made me a real person. It just, your senses are confronted all of the time. You never really get a moment alone or away from people. And so you're just confronted with like the reality of life 24/7. And coming from like a sheltered background in a small town in Texas, and then, you know, being kind of like pedestaled as an actor and getting on these shows, like to be thrust into like real world situations and have to survive in a harsh place like New York, it like made me like just more real.
Did it harden you a little bit?
It did.
Good.
Yeah.
You got to have tough skin you're dealing with like the two most ruthless cutthroat industries there are.
It's exhausting.
This is exhausting, so I can't imagine with you.
Yeah, it's, but it's good. You know, I think there's no life without struggle, and there's no life without like pain.
Yep.
And it just comes in different avenues for everybody. You know, like everybody is going through something hard, even if it looks like on the outside that they're not. And some people carry it really well. Other people, you know, struggle. And I mean, I'm curious to know, like, from your perspective, were there practices or were there things that you did to help you shift out of that, shift out of your addiction and like shift out of that place of like pain and can you speak to some of those things?
For sure. There's a portion at the beginning when, you know, number one, there's so many levels to what you're asking.
Yeah.
I'm excited to explain it, but I'm trying to think of how to accurately explain it. Like, so imagine being thrust out, and imagine your mom pushed you out the front door your first day of school naked. That's what it feels like re-entering into the world sober. You don't have that security blanket anymore. You feel vulnerable. You're dealing with emotions that you've been knowing for however many years that you've been getting sober.
Yeah.
Or as years you've been getting high. So as soon as you get sober, it's this emotional roller coaster, and you just want to go back to the comfort of getting high. And then you hit this little point where you start getting, you know, your color back, you're eating and all that. And for me, what changed was I incorporated the running stuff. That right there, it just put a battery in my back. It got me around a group of people that I needed to be around. It gave me a physical outlet. It was the best mental health medication that any doctor could have never prescribed to me.
Yeah.
Because they just wanted to give me pills before. And so that's what started changing my experience and actually getting sober. And then honestly, what really taught me was doing the film with Andrew, and the first time the trailer played. We played the trailer in public, and there were 200 people there, and it was all runners. And I remember it playing, and the whole time it plays, and within 3 minutes they hear 4-time felon, kicked out of the military, heroin addict, you know, you name it. So now they know everything. And I just remember the lights going on, and I just had that naked feeling and was thinking I was being judged. And then 200 people converged on me and started coming off things that didn't have anything to do with addiction. It was molestation, trauma, suicide, their brother, sister, uncle, mother, like all these things. And so just like you said, that's when I realized at the end of the day, like, we're all recovering from something.
Yeah.
We've all been through stuff. For me, it was drugs and alcohol. For you, it was whatever. For everybody else. But when you start understanding, you know, earlier you said, like, in my world, the way I look at it, pain is power, because I gave it purpose. I use it to help other people.
Yeah.
And that gives it a whole new definition. And so the things my family and myself were the most ashamed of, now the things we're most proud of. And that's where the transition switched to where, like, you could look at it the other way, but this shit's a superpower to me.
It is.
You know what I mean? If you know how to channel it.
I think, like, our first conversation that we had on the telephone, you were saying, you know, there's a stigma around addiction and a stigma around, well, just, you know, it's kind of like one of those topics that we want to sidestep because it can bring up a lot. And it's actually, my family's been affected by addiction. My sister, you know, struggled with addiction. My uncle, my grandfather, my aunt, and it actually, not that addiction connects us to humanity, but the pain is what connects us to each other. Like, that is something that is inherent in all human beings. And it's like, for some reason, it's been made to, in our society, we categorize pain as like a weakness or like being vulnerable. Like men are expected to kind of like show up in the world and appear invulnerable because they're supposed to be the protectors, right? But just being a human being is, you're inherently vulnerable, whether it's to, you're vulnerable to other people, you're vulnerable to nature, you're vulnerable to substances, we're vulnerable to diseases and viruses. Like just the nature of being human automatically means that we are vulnerable. And so it's great that you have a space here that people can come and talk about what they've gone through. We need safe spaces. And I think that's also what art provides. Like that's what drew me to acting and music. Or maybe I would say maybe when I was smaller, I had the desire to perform, right? And to like heal and bring, joy to people's lives. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that there's a deeper purpose to it, which is that it's also a vehicle to heal me and to help me confront my pain. And so that's why I believe so much in art, is because it gives us a framework to work through our stuff. And I'm very passionate about keeping the arts alive, but also that it should be accessible. And the people, the only people being able to do art shouldn't just be like the most successful and high-paid actors and musicians. Like art is a vehicle for all of our healing. And yeah.
I love it. It absolutely is. And there's a lot of people that do art therapy and all that type of stuff. There's a treatment center that's dedicated strictly to music. There's a lot right in Austin.
Wait, what is it called?
Recovery Unplugged.
Recovery Unplugged.
I hate that I just gave them a free plug, but
why? We can contact them after. Be like, hey.
I don't work in the treatment industry anymore. I'm not I left it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So one thing I wanted to bring up, I couldn't wait to talk to you about. Hopefully it's okay.
Yeah.
When Andrew originally told me about you, I immediately looked you up, and the first video I clicked on was you openly talking about God. And it blew me away because, number one, the times we've gone through and everything like that. But number two, Hollywood, or people trying to pursue that stuff, are always to the one side.
Yeah.
And so just anybody brave enough to get on their social media and openly talk about that, it's something that I've been doing in my life, and it's something I'm very proud of. And it's been a whole process, because there was a long time I've always believed in God, but I wasn't a big God guy.
Yeah.
Now I am. And so what
do you mean by that?
I didn't know what to believe. I believed there was God. As I got older, I just started questioning everything. I listened to Joe Rogan too many times, and who knows if I can trust the Bible, because man wrote the Bible. And so, I started thinking about all that stuff, and it's like, because for the longest time I couldn't put God in a box, you know what I mean? But then I'll describe it to people, and I'll be like, I don't even think our simple brains can even comprehend what God is. Yeah. But I'll know that and say that, but I still couldn't put him in a box. So it's like, I don't know what I believe. And so there was just things that happened once I got sober, and there's a story, I've told it a bunch on the podcast, I'll tell it to you after, but there's things that happen. It's just without a shadow of a doubt. I don't care what anybody says. Like, God is very real and very present in my life.
Right. That's beautiful.
And so the fact that I saw that out of you, I was doubly impressed. And immediately I was like, hey, do you think she can get on the podcast? Like, I want to talk to her.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
I'd love to talk. I would say the same. I mean, obviously I grew up in a small town in Texas. So like conservative Christian community. But even from a very small age, I would go to church, and I was like, this doesn't really resonate totally for me. Not Jesus. I was like, yeah, Jesus, that, this guy sounds like he knew what he was doing. But it was the church that really threw me off. And I kind of just, I was like, I think I understood, like, okay, just because these people don't have maybe necessarily the words or I don't know, the values that I have, doesn't mean that God isn't real, and doesn't mean that Jesus isn't the Son of God or the Messiah. And I can have my own relationship with Jesus and my walk with God outside of the church. So I stopped going to church. And ultimately, like, I kind of got out of a spiritual practice. I wasn't really praying as much. Like, I believed in God, but it wasn't like a central focus for me. And, you know, some people say, like, you can't serve two masters.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not serving God, you're going to be serving something else, even if you're unconscious about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so in my 20s, my parents told me I was simultaneously like hitting a really good point in my career where I was on a television show as a series regular shot here in Austin.
Which one?
It was called The Lying Game.
Okay.
It was on ABC Family.
Okay.
And it was so exciting because I was like, you know, this is what I've been working towards. I'd just come off of a tour with opening for Justin Bieber and a girl group I was in. And my parents told me they were getting a divorce. And I was in a relationship at the time, and that was really rocky. And I was relying on, you know, the high of being on a TV series and like getting paid very well. And then I would smoke pot and like try to like ease the anxiety and the ego in that way, which, you know, only like masked some of the symptoms. And honestly, like most of my 20s, even though I was having a lot of success in my career, my personal relationships were just kind of like all over the place. Like, my relationship with my boyfriend at the time was not great. I'm an empath. I feel people's pain very deeply. And so what was happening between my parents, like, it felt just like someone was, you know, like trying to rip me open at the chest. Like, I remember like physically having chest pain, like someone was trying to like rip it open.
I could tell by the way you're telling the story.
Yeah. And there was like, I don't know, maybe 10 years of them going back and forth. They're going to get divorced. They're going to stay together, trying to make it work. They're going to, you know, all the things. So that was going on for a decade. And at the end of it, I was just like, guys, make a decision.
Right.
And like ultimately what my soul wanted was obviously for my parents to stay together and for our family to stay together. But I was just in a lot of pain, and I knew my parents were in pain. And I was like, if the way that we're all individually going to heal, if the best thing for that, you know, if the way that that's going to happen is for us to split up and everybody kind of like take some time, then I support it. Like, do what you guys need to do. But in that time, I was going through an identity crisis because my identity is obviously as a daughter. It's also as like the person who can like bring people together and like create harmony. That's what I was doing on the show, you know, like I'm not only acting, I'm making music, and like that is my talent as my identity. I was very rooted in being able to bring people together and connect people. So to feel like I wasn't able to do that was like earth-shattering, soul-shattering. And so they ended up getting a divorce, and I think somewhere around 2016, I broke up with my then boyfriend, and we had broken up, and I fell into a depression that felt like I was just like in like a really dark room and couldn't see anything, couldn't really feel anything either. Couldn't feel a connection to God. I felt so alone. And my world was just completely like dismembered. And that's when I started coming back around to a spiritual practice. And how I entered into it was initially through meditations with the archangels. Okay. That just was calling to me. And so I would like lay down on my bed and listen to meditations that this light worker had recorded, and calling in those energies and just kind of like allowing myself to like relax and really just like listen. Because I'd also
you're making me want to go do that.
Yeah,
I want to go try
I
it.
encourage everyone to try it, especially if you're going through, especially if you feel just like boxed in and like not light, which normally I feel very light.
I know the exact feeling you're talking about.
Yeah. And I really do. I believe in spirits. I believe in energies and beings. And I believe that it's very possible that the people that pass on like can come back and help us. And I know George Carlin would say I'm crazy, but I believe in like frequency and energy, and I think that there are dark entities and light entities or ascended masters, and I think once we die, like we're not actually dying. I think it's just we like abandon this meat suit and then we still continue to live. Like that's like the eternal life that Jesus talks about, right? But perhaps we don't get there if we like don't believe, you know?
That was my biggest problem. What you just said. I didn't believe, like faith. That was the word I neglected, was just having faith.
Yeah. Well, it's easy to not believe because it's like, you know, one of my very good friends is an atheist and we see things differently, and she's like a very tactile person. She's like science-based. She loves to research, and if she can't prove anything with, you know, taste, touch, hear, smell, research, science, she doesn't believe in it, and that's fine. I think it's more fun to believe. You know, I'm like, there's more to play with.
Yep.
And when you feel alone, like, who are you going to lean on? If you have no one else to really lean on, then it's got to be God.
Yeah. There's a reason when there's nobody else around and you ain't got nothing and you're in the foxhole, there's a reason that's where you go.
Right?
There's a reason.
And I think, like, God takes us into those places to remind us, like, if you you won't be able to fully rely on people because we're human and we're like, we can only be, you know, so much for people. But yeah, I think God does take us into those places to remind us that like he's there. And anyway, so I got back into like a yoga practice, got back into meditation, and through that actually kind of led me back into a space where I was like open to studying Jesus again and kind of like being more open to being curious about it.
Right. I went through that probably, I think about a year ago. I think it was Easter time last year. I just took a look around. I was miserable.
Yeah.
I have all these things I'm so excited about. I'm blessed all the way around, but I was just like, I'm miserable right now.
Yeah.
And I just felt this calling to go back to church or whatever. And I don't even know if it was church. And I'm not saying anything bad about church, but it was like, I remember having a conversation, and I don't know if they brought up like Abraham or Moses. I want to say, I don't know if who saw the burning bush.
I think it was Moses.
All right, so
not a very Bible-y Christian, just to like let you guys know.
Well, so somebody was telling a story, and then they said it, and I knew Moses parted the Red Sea or whatever, but it was like, oh, I think what I heard was, and I've said this before, but I think I was listening to a podcast, and I heard them talking about how Moses is in all three books. He's in the Bible, he's in the Quran, and he's in the Torah.
Okay.
And so I was like, wait a minute. I was like, if they all three recognize him, then this dude was obviously real. And then I was like, well, if he was real, then this is history.
Yeah.
And I was embarrassed because like my parents split up when I was 2. My mom put me in Catholic school for like 2nd to 5th grade or whatever. So I went to church. I got schooled on all that stuff. But I was like embarrassed as a grown man. I was like, I don't even know who Moses is.
Yeah.
And so I was like hungry to hear the word. Like I wanted to learn.
Yeah.
And then you show up to church and it's like a rock concert for the first 30 minutes. And it was like, this is cool. This is not what I'm here for.
Right.
And so what I realized is like, I thought I had to pull towards back to church, but I had to pull towards a relationship with God.
Yeah.
And so then I got this little prayer app, and every morning, 3 times a day, every time I get in my truck, I hit the prayer app and it gives me a verse and a prayer. And then I take time quietly, but like my wife thinks I'm crazy because I tell her, I'm like, this thing talks to me. Like the things it says are so spot on to my life or what's going on in my life. Or
the app?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the prayers it tells me, the things it's saying.
Is it run by an algorithm or is it based, it's just like that's what they do that day?
It's just called the prayer app, yeah. And you just get a prayer a day. And I have like the free version. I don't pay for the...
Well, I think like the cool thing about once you start to believe again. Like, once
man,
you start being...
Now you just told me it was an algorithm. They got me.
No. What I'm saying is, like, maybe is that... I don't know. I think, like, when we're intentional about, like, God, I want to do this with you, like, we get exactly what we need when we need it.
So that's what I was going to say was, I think for the long time, it's like I didn't have my ears open. I didn't have my eyes open. I didn't see this stuff was going on. I didn't hear for it because I wasn't looking for it.
Yeah.
But as soon as I started seeking it, it was like, oh, wait.
Right.
These signs were here this whole time. I just wasn't catching them.
Right. What we see depends mainly on what we look for.
Oh,
right.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. What is it like for you as an actress? So you sat down and said you watched the documentary. Now, are you watching? I'm sure there was a duel. You're learning more about me. Are you researching the part? Are you doing kind of both of that? Or what is it like for an actress? Andrew hits you up and says, "Hey, I want you to play this guy's sister." Now, what is your process? What do you do from there?
I've never played a real person.
Oh, okay.
So
what would you do?
What I would do is probably reach out to your sister.
Okay.
And have some good conversations with her. Probably, I mean, depending on how long I have to prepare. I've never really had more than like a month to prepare for something.
Really?
Which isn't ideal,
right.
you know.
Right.
I like to prepare a lot, but yeah, I would take some time to, you know, have conversations with her apart from you and try to get into her POV. And I've kind of learned a different process in the last 5 years for learning how to work. Like, my process used to be just like learn the lines, memorize, and then make your choices, right, based on your instincts. But my teacher nowadays teaches us to not memorize lines because it's more about, like, when you're memorizing lines, you're using your left part of your brain, which is the intellectual, analytical side. But when we're trying to empathize with a human being, we want to be in our heart space, right? So that's more like creative right side of our brain. And so they encourage us to absorb, you know, the script or the sides one time, just like, and go very slowly. So like line by line, circumstance by circumstance, you're absorbing it very, very, very slowly. My process used to be very quick. Got to memorize quick. Well, because you get an audition, you're like, okay, you got to turn this around in 8 hours and be spot on and have your, you know, have everything ready. So it's been a total shift in my process as an actor, but also as a human being. Again, it's like changed the way that I process everything now. It's like, oh, I can take time. Oh, I can breathe. Oh, I can relax. And it doesn't have to be like this big rush thing.
Right.
Because we actually can't create in a state of...
I know that.
Right?
Yeah.
If we're not breathing, we can't create.
Yeah.
And we certainly don't have access to the heart. So yeah, I would have some conversations with your sister, and then I would spend a lot of time developing my circumstances around the story, the circumstance of being your sister. So who makes you you is your sister, and who makes your sister is you, your mom. You know, it's working with our parents is typically a lot of time our biggest influence in life are our parents. So I would go into, and what's really cool about doing this work too is you intuitively start to pick up on things. Like, I may not know a lot about your mom, but given what this, you know, whatever the script is, I'm not supposed to work outside of what the script gives. But intuitively, I'll start to pick up on things. And that is like kind of like what I call like the God, like the God, that's the God piece of it. And like is the magic. And then you'll start to be like accurate about things, and it's cool. So that, yeah, you're just spending time, and you're spending time with your circumstances in the story and the people, and then you're allowing yourself to be vulnerable enough to be affected by the circumstances. And yeah, that's pretty much the process. It's fun.
So this is probably This is probably a dumb question to ask an actress. It's probably like
No dumb questions.
The most kindergarten level question to ask, but
Sure.
I just have to know these things. Who's your favorite actor? Who's your favorite actress? And what's your favorite movie?
Oh, gosh. Favorite actress. Kate Winslet's at the top.
Okay.
Love her. I'm really enjoying Julianne Nicholson's work. She played my mom on a series I did called The Red Road, and she's like really having a moment right now. She had has a series called Paradise on Hulu, and she's crushing it. She's gonna be on the new season of Hacks. I'm giving free plugs to everybody.
I gave mine.
Yeah. And then actors. Oh, I loved Heath Ledger when he was alive. Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Picking good ones.
Yeah. Joaquin Phoenix. God, there's so many.
Right.
Florence Pugh, I really have been enjoying her work recently. And then favorite movies are tough, but I love Dumb and Dumber.
There you go.
You know?
There you go.
Just
Gotta go with the
make me
classic.
laugh.
There you go.
That's all I need. I've gotten to meet Jim Carrey.
Really?
Yeah, I was working in a restaurant in LA, and he came in, and I think he was leaving, and I just kind of I was walking up to the host stand to go do my job, and he was walking out, and he just walked up to me, shook my hand, was like, "Thank you so much."
Really?
I was like, "Thank you."
That's cool as hell.
Very cool.
Jim Carrey was my dude growing up. I used to walk around. Me and my buddies would walk around the halls like we were Ace Ventura and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, just being dumb.
He's so brilliant because I love what he brings to the human stage, which is just how healing it can be to just be so silly and ridiculous. And
have you ever watched his In Living Color?
No.
Do you know what that is?
Yes.
The sketch
but
show?
I never. I was a little after
I
guess.
I know that's way before your time, but I didn't know if you're a student of the game and you go back and study.
I need to. I probably shouldn't have said that I haven't watched it. I should have lied. But it was a sketch show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Very funny.
That was where he got his start,
yeah.
right?
Jennifer Lopez was a dancer on there. That's where she got her start. The
right.
Wayans brothers were huge.
Okay.
There was a lot of people that got their start from there.
Do you know if it was purely... Well, if it was sketch, they were writing it. So it wasn't improv, right?
No, I don't think it was improv.
No, it was written. Yeah.
Okay, so written sketches. Okay.
It's like the hood version of Saturday Night Live, right?
Mad TV.
Oh, Mad TV. There you go. I forgot about Mad TV. Yeah. It was funny. I've always been a movie buff, but oddly enough, there was a short time when I started going to the methadone clinic, and I took a little break from heroin.
Okay.
And the only thing I did was basically lay in bed and watch movies all day. It was not a good existence, but I got
watching movies all day sounds like a great, maybe not the meth part, but
it was not the most high functioning thing, but I thought as long as I wasn't shooting heroin at that moment, I was good. So, but I got very into certain actors and would watch all their stuff, like Gary Oldman, Tom Hardy, because it's Tom Hardy's never the same in any two movies. His voice is different. Everything is always different.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman's such a good actor. You could watch him in 10 movies and never knew he was even in the movie because he's so good. He just blends in as other characters.
He's brilliant.
To me, he's probably the GOAT to me.
Yeah. Yeah, he's up there.
And then, but then getting into oh, I really like this. It seems like I like this production company. Everything they do, I like. And going down those rabbit holes to where I'm actually paying attention to the credits rolling and stuff like that.
Yeah, and who's actually making the
and then understanding who I'm fans of and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was cool I'm able to watch, if there's good acting, the movie could be shit. But if I can latch on to one actor that's crushing it and doing a good job, I'll be captured the whole movie just because it mesmerizes me how good people could be at that.
Right. Yeah, it's hard. It's very fun, but it's also hard.
I think most people think it's easy, but just try it once.
Try it.
Right. Try it once.
So much of it is getting over your own, self-consciousness too. In the beginning, that's why I'm don't listen to the critics who aren't doing or trying to do what you're trying to do. If why are we listening? Why is any actor listening to a non-actor about their work?
Right. Yeah, it's like,
I mean, you could say like, oh, I don't like that actor, or like they're bad. Okay, well, get back in the ring and try again.
right.
It's
It's like commentators commenting on athletes, like saying they don't throw the ball well as they're sitting in a booth.
right.
You know what I mean? So it's same. I get it. Same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you wanting to maybe get into movie making at some point yourself?
Movie making? No.
No.
This is what I'm doing.
Okay.
So January, I was working in the treatment industry, and it was just wasn't for me anymore. And I'm just super inspired doing this. And
Were you feeling like drained by, or let me ask, what were you doing in the treatment industry?
I mean, I had a great gig. I got paid very well. I was health and wellness director at one. I was executive director of another company where we did recovery coaching, but I had people in the gym, so I was training them. So I had really good stuff. I got to speak all the time. Like, that was good. But, just quite honestly, the treatment industry, it's a lot of good people that go around saying that they're helping and they're doing a lot of good things, but you're taxing people's insurance. You're just taking their money. Like, you can get this shit for free in AA. There's a free meetings everywhere. You're selling AA.
Yeah.
And so it's like I saw enough of that go on, and then I saw some things where, they would hold on to clients and sit there and keep taxing their insurance and then release them when they don't have any insurance left, but they didn't get the care they needed. And it's just like this. I don't operate like this.
Good for you.
And this is what I do that helps people. Not that I wasn't helping people doing that, but once I started realizing the power that this has and the people that what they get from it and stuff like that, I'm no longer going to build for other people anymore. I'm building for myself, and I have the opportunity, and that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
So I just took the leap of faith in January, and this has to work.
Yeah.
So.
And it will.
Yes.
Yeah, there's so much corruption in just almost every facet of the system here.
And I think just the time we went through with the politics and everything like that, it's even I got so fixated on, like, I could sit here in this situation and pick out everything I hate about all this stuff.
Yeah.
Or I can go do my thing.
Yeah.
And I was saying it was scary for like the first 24 hours. January 1st, when I was done, it was like I woke up that first day and was like, holy shit. And then that second day I woke up and it was just off to the races, because it was like the world opened up and it was like I could do whatever.
Yeah.
I could build anything I want right now. And like I actually had a direction, a purpose.
That is so important for people to hear.
Mm-hmm.
It's just deciding.
Yeah.
I get Arrested Development all the time. I'm like,
I love the fact that you just said that. Go ahead. I love the fact that you just said that. Keep going.
Yeah, it's like, you have all these options. We really do. We have a lot of options. And sometimes it can be overwhelming, right? That you have all these options to, okay, I could go in this direction and do this or this or this or this. But it's so beautiful that you were like, this is my purpose. I have a direction. I can do this to help me get there. And you just decided and you just did it. Mm. You committed. That's acting.
Yeah.
That is.
Well, I had a conversation with a buddy, and he pointed something out, and he was spot on. He was like, most people get stuck. I think he said phases, and he's like, there's phase 1, phase 2. Phase 1's the idea, phase 2 is the action. He goes, everybody lives in phase 1. Everybody has all these ideas and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're not like that. He goes, I always see you in phase 2. He's like, you have the idea, you go right to it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just have this overwhelming sense of urgency with everything I do, because, I screwed off so many years of my life where it's like, I don't have that anymore. It's like, I got to make up for lost time. We got to go.
I think it's when you either have a brush with death, or you get very close, or you consider it. Mm-hmm. It changes your perception on life and like how valuable time really is. So at your time in the military, do you well, let me ask first, before you went in.
I love that you're asking me questions back. This is amazing. This is awesome.
Before you got into the military, what was your vision for your life? Like, what did you think you'd be doing at this age? Or just as an adult?
Professional basketball player.
Okay.
Convinced.
Yeah.
I neglected the fact that I was white and couldn't jump, but I was going to the league. No, I was pretty good in basketball, and then I got in that car accident, and that's kind of where everything went left.
Okay.
I had no idea what I was going to do in life. Much like what you talked about, I resonated with deeply is because when I lost basketball from that accident, my identity was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's kind of what took me into it was easy to go kick it in the party crowd. The girls are there, everybody's having fun, let's go.
Right.
And so I segued right into that. But if I would have kept the structure of basketball and all that stuff, who knows what would have happened. Earlier you said Arrested Development.
Yeah.
And I love that because every time I speak, I'll talk about Arrested Development. And I'll be like, do you guys know what Arrested Development is? And everyone will go, yeah. And I'll be
that
like,
show.
And I'll say, not the show. And everyone goes, oh. And so then I explain to them, as far as drugs and alcohol goes, like,
yeah.
I tell everybody is, when I first started using hard drugs and alcohol, my hat was crooked. I was talking crazy. My pants were way down below my ass. And then, I'm 35 years old. I'm in treatment, and I look in the mirror, and I'd actually had a little bit of sobriety time up under my belt, and it was like something switch flipped in my head where I'm looking, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, this is not how a 35-year-old man carries himself. And like, I snapped out of it.
Yeah.
And then I started to understand what Arrested Development was. I'm like, oh my God, it's real. I was literally frozen in that age.
Right. Yeah.
So the fact you said it and it was the actual meaning, I was excited.
Yeah. I know, we should talk about it more in society. I think I got very uncomfortable and had just like so much pain towards like the end of my 20s, living in LA. Career had slowed down, probably because I was like, who am I? What am I doing? And I just thought that pain and that like stuckness was just, this is being an adult.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it means to be an adult. It's like pressure and soul crushing and like, is this what everybody's going through 24/7?
Right.
It's actually not.
Right.
We have periods of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't numbing myself at that time with alcohol and other things. I would drink occasionally, but it wasn't like a dependency. And I was just like, what is going on? Didn't realize until after I left LA that life can feel different.
Yeah.
And I could feel flow in my life again. And I had to learn how to be, but I realized that I had been stuck and I wasn't growing in LA, and I was bored. Living in the most beautiful place, Malibu, which is great, but
I just went out there for the first time. I don't know what it is about there, but it's like you get out there and it's like instantly, it's like I could do something out here. Like,
oh yeah,
it's like you feel like there's like opportunity. It was probably the least opportunity ever out there for every person trying to go out there and do something. But like you get there and it's like I felt that energy.
The energy.
Yeah.
No, it is an amazing place. I'm not trying to talk badly about LA because it really made me who I am, but I also believe that like there's an intelligence in our bodies and in our souls, and life is movement. And when our body is no longer happy, or our soul is no longer happy in a place, or is no longer growing, it's gonna give us signs. And it might come in the form of like chronic pain or stiffness or whatever, or a disease, and if we resist those signals and we keep working against ourselves, we're going to feel more pain and we're going to feel more arrested in our development. And so it's important for us to listen and be willing to change things up and move around and like go somewhere else and try something new.
Right.
Yeah.
What's in life now? What are your outlets for when you're starting to feel like that? Do you work out, meditation?
Yes. Walking.
Walking?
Love a walk. Love a walk outside.
Walking is highly underrated.
It really is.
Highly underrated.
Ironically, when I moved to New York, like the drinking capital of America, I stopped drinking. I got sober. And so what I did was just like I would get done with work and I'd just go walk around the city and have the best time just like listening to music and walking around. It was amazing for my mental health.
Really?
Yeah. So, and then also, stopping drinking alcohol is really good for your mental, physical, spiritual health.
Yep.
Leaving relationships that no longer serve you, getting back into some sort of a spiritual practice was really good for me. Believing that trusting in life again, trusting that there are people out there who care for you and love you, that you're worthy, because my self-worth had tanked like severely. And I had, like a bout of going through a stage of like just nihilism and not believing in anything and believing that there's no point to life and like how awful. Like, of course you're going to feel like dog crap if that's what your belief system is, because it's like, okay, well then why are we here? Why am I here?
Right.
So, it's like a reprogramming of your consciousness, choosing your thoughts, understanding that you have so much power in being able to choose what you believe about yourself, about others, about the world. People aren't perfect, but if you know yourself and you can trust yourself, that's kind of what you need, right? Because you can set boundaries, you can say no. And when you understand that like your problems aren't necessarily other people's responsibility, and your problems aren't because of other people, I mean, maybe a little bit, but ultimately you have a choice.
Right.
You get to choose how you move through the world, and you get to say, I like that, I want more of that, I admire this in this person, so I want to include them in my life a little bit more. Or just learn from them, listen to their podcast, and turning to people and role models that resonate with you, as opposed to, going back to that wound, and people who will sit with you in that wound and just be there in the trauma and the wound, and like, misery loves company. Yeah.
Have you ever written Purpose Driven Life? Have you ever read Purpose Driven Life?
No, I haven't.
Incredible.
Okay.
It's like one of those books you just read a little bit each day, but it's a transformative book. Very, very good. But I'd read it before, and then I rediscovered it when I was locked up and I was in prison. And that was a time when a lot of my thoughts and dwelling were not good. And so it's like a lot of why me and this and that. And so I picked up that book and I started reading it, and it made me really start thinking. And, at the time it's like, I believe in God. And so if I believe in God, I have to believe he has a purpose for me. And so I sat there and like, as I read that book, I started thinking about it. And I came to the conclusion that like, I ascended pretty high at a young age. I was good at sports, you know what I mean? Like, I was a big brother that my sisters and brother could look up to. I have another side of the family, my real father's side. I have 2 brothers and a sister over there. They're obviously not in the documentary. And so it was like, all right, I went to Iraq, you know what I mean, served my country for 10 years, like all these things they could be proud of, and then they watched this epic burn, and now epic crash and burn, and now I'm landing in prison. And it made me take a step back and think. It was like, all right, for me to think God's purpose is just for it to all be sunshine and rainbows every day, that's not real. That's not practical.
Agreed.
If my purpose was to ascend high at a young age and crash and burn and land here in prison as a lesson to my brothers and sisters, and so they don't make the same decision, who am I if that was my purpose and it saves them, then I wouldn't change a thing. And so it really made me starting to think about different, and I think this is my purpose now. My purpose is to go through everything I did to use that experience to help other people. But just starting to like comprehend or understand and read that book and really think about, what is your purpose? Why are you here? Are you living within that purpose? Because I think of so many years, I think people get up, they go to work, they come home, they go to bed, and they don't think about words like purpose or truly think on it, what it is. And then you wonder why you feel dead inside every day, or just life is shit.
Because most of us are trying on a daily basis to not feel pain. Most people are living in a way that we're just trying to distract ourselves from the reality of death and the presence of our pain. And both of those things are very real. And I believe that the more that we are open to confront them and like really look at them, that's when things actually start to shift. Because you do start to live with more purpose and intention when you're like, my days are numbered and I can go at any moment.
Yeah.
I think COVID was like a really good example of that, like we lost like 1 million people. I felt that afterwards, like things were so slow, and it's like we all have collectively felt the loss of people's presence. And
Where were you at then? New York?
I spent the actual pandemic in Malibu.
Oh, rough go.
Really rough.
Rough go.
Really rough go. But I was lonely. I had a friend.
I was there during the fires.
This last fire?
That's when I was there. And
Very scary.
So we went to the Palisades. I went there. The event I was going to ended up getting canceled. And I linked up with a buddy, and we were going to try to do some work with a veteran organization and all that. And he had one of his friends that he knew, and his house had burned down. But even he was upset because if you watch the news, like when I watched the news to go out there, everyone's like, you're still going. And I was like, maybe I could be of service somehow. Like, I got the ticket. I feel like I'm meant to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it was good that I went. But when we go, like, I thought I was going to be landing in, like, hell on earth. Like, I thought it was just engulfed in flames everywhere.
Yeah.
If you watch the news, that's what it was. I'm not saying that didn't happen, but when we got there, that was no longer happening. Like, that shit was out. We were at the Palisades. It wasn't burning anymore. It wasn't even smoldering anymore. But even after I left, if you watch the news, it was still showing the Palisades on fire. And then what disturbed me about everything was we showed up there to help, and they wouldn't take any volunteers. They wouldn't take any goods. But they wanted monetary donations.
Interesting.
And so then we started, all the stuff we had, we started giving to the first responders and all that, like people that would use it.
Interesting.
And then the guy whose house burnt down, like he was upset about all this. And
about you not being able to help, or?
About how they were portraying this as if it was still like it was. And I'm not saying people didn't lose their homes. I'm not saying people didn't get hurt, but it was not continuing to go on the way the media was showing it to go on.
We can't trust the media.
Right. Well, then I came home and we're telling people about it, and they were like getting mad at me.
Yeah.
Like, people lost their lives. I'm like, no, absolutely. But it's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying bad shit didn't happen, but they're acting like it's still going on, trying to get money right now. Mm-hmm. That was wild to me.
Yeah. I know. It's sad that we can't really, I feel like we can't really trust the media.
Not at all. What is your most favorite part about being an actress and your least favorite part?
Favorite part is getting to be someone else. Just getting to try on a different identity and play and like fully live, a different life.
Do you feel when you nail something? Like when you're playing somebody and you deliver a line or a scene and you get done, you're like, I just fucking killed that. Excuse my language.
Sometimes it's so rare that I'm like, yeah, I did so good. I'm always like, I feel like I didn't, like, did I do it?
Right.
But yeah,
come
I
on,
don't know.
you gotta have that moment where you see yourself pop up on screen and you're like, I did that.
There's some moments that are like that.
Right.
I'm like, oh, okay, I'm happy with that. But I'm typically like a pretty big self-critic.
Oh yeah, and I'm my own worst critic.
I'm recovering from that.
Gotcha.
From perfectionism.
I think it's what makes me strive so hard. Is just I'm never satisfied.
High achievers tend to be like perfectionists, and like it can be a double-edged sword because it's like the thing that drives us and makes us want to achieve and like do good, but it can also be the thing that sends us on the wrong path for a little bit.
I know, when it takes me all these extra hours doing these videos on social media and stuff, I wish I wasn't such a perfectionist. I feel like that's my life now.
Yeah. My least favorite thing about being an actor is probably just, the flip side of like whenever, the rejection, like having to deal with like having to constantly balance or just knowing that I still have value and I still have worth, even if I'm not being validated as an actor.
Right.
The unsteady work, not knowing if I'm going to have work or not. It's like the business is annoying.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of a gentleman named Radio Man?
Yes.
You have?
In New York?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's sat in that very chair.
Did Andrew do?
Okay.
Yeah. He was telling me about him.
Yeah. We had to have the chair cleaned afterwards.
Oh.
From what I've heard.
Why?
I don't think it was that chair. I'm just kidding.
He's dirty.
He was awesome. I had no idea who Radio Man was, and then Andrew showed me who he was, and I was like, what? And he was one of the most mesmerizing human beings I've ever met.
Was he?
Yeah. Have you ever check his Instagram when you leave?
But he did a podcast episode.
Yeah, he
so I'll
did
watch
too.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was pretty wild. He has like a handler, Vinny.
Okay.
He had him with him and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
You have to. This dude was homeless for like a long time, so he's not like.
Is he not homeless anymore?
No, he has an apartment. But he's like a hoarder.
Oh.
But he's how would you describe Radio Man?
As the most eccentric.
Eccentric is the word I'm looking for.
Like personality that you don't really expect from him until you start talking to him.
He has a documentary called Radio Man. It's on the people that this dude, like Tom Cruise, Johnny Depp, Josh Brolin, name all the biggest actors.
Yeah.
And they're just in there like, oh yeah, Tom Hanks. Oh yeah, Radio Man. He's a staple. Like they
BFF.
all know him.
Yeah.
He told a story on here. It was so crazy that he was. Hopefully I don't butcher this, but he was sitting out waiting for, I want to say, Tom Hanks and who's the director? Ron Howard.
Uh-huh.
And he was sitting, because he'll sit there and wait for them to come out. Well, the security came out and was trying to shoo him away, thinking he was a homeless man.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, I'm waiting for my friends. And he was like, who's your friends? And he goes, Tom and Ron. And they're like, you ain't friends with him. Get out of here. They sent him to Bellevue. They sent him to like the nut ward and were hitting him up with Thorazine because they thought he was crazy for going around saying he was friends with Tom Hanks and stuff.
Oh no.
And this happened for like a long time.
They put him on drugs?
Yeah, because they thought he was nuts. But his story.
How did he get out of that situation?
I don't remember. He's a tough guy to nail down in a conversation. He goes where he wants.
Okay.
So there's no real like trying to. So me and Vinny were both trying to rein him in, but he'll just go story after story, and like he tells the story. He was sitting there. He had stumbled upon a movie set. Didn't know that's where he was, and he saw some actor, and he started blurting out that the actor was doing a shit job. He was mailing it in. So the actor came over to him and said, hey, we're filming right now. Like, we're on a movie. I need you to be quiet. And so I guess Radio Man started talking shit back to him. He goes, look, if you're quiet, you and I will go have a beer after this. And so he's like, all right. It was Bruce Willis. And they went and had beers.
That's great.
So then Radio Man started hanging out. And then he was in Central Park one day. And an actor named Robin Williams came running past him. And Robin Williams stopped and thought he had saw himself because they look remarkably similar.
Oh, wow.
And so then he started giving Robin Williams a hard time, telling him he was doing a shit job of playing a homeless man. So Robin Williams went and hung out with him under the bridge.
No way.
And then won an Oscar for Fisher King. Or the Fisher King won an Oscar for that. And he's been a Hollywood staple ever since. He walks on to any, if they're filming in New York, he walks on wherever he wants. He's been in over 300 movies. Zoolander, Godzilla, Shutter Island, Departed, Matt Damon, Leonardo DiCaprio, like all these people he's connected to. It was so crazy.
Just goes to show that like homelessness or being homeless it's not a indication of like your worth.
Right.
Who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Housing is a human right.
I could see that.
Yeah.
It was getting bad in Austin here for a while.
Yeah. Has it gotten better, you think?
Yeah, 100%. Were you here when they changed an ordinance for a while where it was a camping ordinance where you were allowed to camp in public? Okay. You weren't here then?
No, I just got back in February.
Oh, okay. So what was this? Maybe, I don't know. A year, maybe two ago, all of a sudden, just if you would drive through downtown Austin, it was just tents everywhere. It looked like it was California.
Yeah. There's a lot
on a small scale, and then they did a pretty good job of cleaning it up pretty quick. But
do you know how they went about?
They started getting. I think they started buying up older hotels and housing them in there.
Wow.
Giving them housing and stuff like that. And then they may have like case managers or something like that to be in there.
Okay.
But the mayor at the time went on Rogan and was talking about it and was talking about how I think at one time we had 5,000 homeless or something like that. And so it was a number they could do something with. But yeah, when it gets so exponential like out west, there's just nothing they could do.
It's so, well, yeah, and it's so hard. And I was actually just talking about this today is, I think like houselessness can lead to mental illness, not having that like sense of stability and like safety can be, a lot of us, I think, assume that it's mental illness that precedes homelessness and that's what leads to homelessness. But I think it can also be the other way around. I mean, heard a lot of stories recently of like, you know, lawyers and doctors just either, you know, one mistake of gambling the money away or whatever, you know, finding themselves in these situations where they're now homeless, but they were fully functioning, competent human beings, but now struggling with the mental illness piece of it because they don't have that safety. It's very hard to heal in an unsafe environment.
In the addiction world, I'm not saying this isn't a blanket statement, but I haven't seen it much. Where like once I don't see many people come back for, like, when you're living on the street, I don't see many people come back from it. Because usually what you're seeing is mental health, and then they're trying to self-medicate with drugs, so then addiction comes into play, and you're dealing with both of those.
Right.
But many of the people in the recovery world and stuff like that, like hardcore drug addicts, but the ones in the street, I mean, they're out there, but there's just not many. Like, it's really hard to come back from that.
Right.
That was one, like, line I could never cross. I could never, like, go out and hold a sign or do any of that. Like, that was nothing I could ever do, but there's people that do it. But I feel like for me, that was like the one, like, I can't go that far.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people, it's like, I'll do coke, but I'll never smoke crack. It's like, I didn't have any of those off switches. We'll go all the way on that. But when we get to there, I can't do that.
So was it your family stepping in and like bringing you back into a rehab? No. Like, what ultimately was like the thing that made you finally get clean? Was it a decision you came to? Or was there a moment?
Yeah, there was a couple things. I talk about them all the time here, but, you know, landing in a prison cell, my mom will no longer accept my collect calls. That's a rock bottom moment right there.
Yeah.
When mom won't pick up the phone anymore, it's maybe time to change your ways. I'd say that was my rock bottom, and then my one moment of hope was probably my biggest moment, where you saw in the documentary where I take that folder in, and they opened it up, and that was that. But what was the decision that decision right there when I got that ray of hope? That was like I clung on to it, and it was like I was all in.
Yeah.
No turning back, and I've never looked back since. But there's so many, the people I choose to surround myself with, getting involved with running, staying healthy, like doing all these things on top of recovery, mental health. That's why. But I think the hope was what got me there.
Good.
Because before, without any hope, it was like, fuck it, I'll just keep doing.
Exactly.
Doing this.
Yeah, you have to.
And then you live with this image in your head. It's like, oh, I'll quit. Like I could kick this if I wanted to. But it's all delusion.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I'm grateful I've never been susceptible in that way, but like I literally can't. I don't think you can imagine until you go through something like that.
It's tough because you don't wake up saying I want to be a heroin addict.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just like it's either in you or it's not. Some people have the genes, some people don't.
Can I ask a potentially?
You can ask me anything. I'm completely open book. Completely open book. The more controversial, the better.
You started using while you were in Iraq?
No, I was using long before that.
Before that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so when I got, before I went to the Air Force, I would say I started like piddling around in drugs, doing coke and all that. And then when I came back from the Air Force, coke was like gone and Oxycontin had leveled the area. And so I gotten out of the Air Force, was hanging back around in Ohio, started getting into shit almost immediately. So Oxycontin got a hold of me pretty hard, and then I tried doing this thing where I'd move to somewhere else and try to reestablish. So when you saw in the documentary, in 5 years in 2 years I went to 5 different states, and I'd burn it down every place I went.
Wow.
So there was no hope. There was nothing to cling on to.
Was it? I as an actor, I've learned this. As a human living in the world, I've learned this. Environment plays such a huge role in shaping us as people. Do you think, because Youngstown it's a pretty small town.
You know Waco?
Yeah.
It's about the equivalent of Waco.
Okay.
It's the closest thing I could put to it in Texas. Just a blue collar. It's just, Youngstown's a steel mill town. Obviously, Waco's not steel mills, but same vibe, same everything. University, the whole nine.
But kind of like not a lot to do, probably.
Horrible environment. horrible environment to be in. Yeah, there's no outlets. That's why when I moved to Austin and Texas in general, like you go down to Town Lake any time of day or night and there's people out there running on their bike and stuff. There's none of that going on in Ohio.
Yeah.
But I started bouncing around and I would only put myself in the worst neighborhoods with the worst people and prided myself on being able to go anywhere and hang out in those neighborhoods and be good. Thinking it was cool, glorifying it. And then now I look back and be like, just so dumb.
What do you think you were looking for? Or what did you get out of it initially?
I mean, probably the sense of belonging. So I can kind of look back on my life, and at the end of the day, addiction's my fault. I'm not putting it on anybody else, but I think my dad left when I was 2. I look at a lot of my behavior throughout my life, and it was like a lot of attention seeking, the way I dressed, the way I acted, the way I talked. And it was, trying to jockey for his attention. Or my mom was she was going to get her PhD when I was growing up. So she was constantly at classes and all that. And so I grew up with babysitters and all that. So I don't know that I had a lot of that structure, but I take a look at my life and it was like striving for the attention, wanting to belong, wanting people to like me.
Yeah.
And I think it just took me down the drug route, and it was like, you'll hear a lot of drug addicts, like you put your drug of choice in your body for the first time, and it's like all of a sudden you feel like you. It was like the first time I did heroin, it's like, oh man. Or the first time
right?
First time I did oxys, it was like, I can eat, I can sleep, I'm not blowing bloody boogers out at the end of the night from doing coke all night. Like, it was all those things. It was like, I could talk, I could go drink, let's go. And it was like that,
It's so interesting to me. Like, I've never done heroin, but I've dabbled with some other, substances that have, make you feel euphoric. And it is this sensation and feeling of like not only being like so deeply connected to yourself, but also like everything in existence.
Are we talking about psychedelics, or what are we talking about? Ecstasy?
Molly.
Okay, that's what I figured. That was my first guess.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the same.
What?
Is it the same feeling with heroin?
Is ecstasy the same feeling as heroin?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Heroin's like somebody just wrapped the warmest, most comfortable blanket around your entire body.
Okay.
But every time I would do ecstasy, funny enough, every time I would do it, I was like, why don't I do this all the time? Like, why do I do anything else? And then I would try to
because the crash is horrible.
Well, then I would try to take it the next night and it doesn't work and all that stuff. But,
yeah. Well, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
But what I do think it, points to is that universal love, that like feeling, that sensation. I think the reason that it's addicting is because it's like there is a little bit of a nugget of truth in it, right? And that thing that we feel like we've been searching for or we feel disconnected from, we get that sensation, when you do that. But I think that there are practices that we can engage in, such as meditation, yoga, exercise, and being in community, like being in true community, which is not necessarily something we're really educated about. And if we don't live in an environment where like community is a big value, then we're going to be like, okay, well, I don't feel at home. I don't feel like I belong to something. I don't feel connected. And that's what leads to kind of like, going off on different trails and tangents. And I think all people can relate to that.
Yeah.
Even if they don't actually venture outside, like clearly we're adventurers and we like to explore. But yeah, it's community. And I think people are waking up to that as well, the importance of a community. And that's what drew me back to Austin, because it's so easy to make friends. People want to talk. People want to go out and do things together.
The Austin community, I'm telling you, it's you gotta be in it to see it, but you will find your people. There's something for everybody there.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're in a run group. There is a run group out there for you.
There's like 10.
Yeah. There's so many, and it was in many ways Austin saved my life. Like I was meant to be there.
I love that.
It was good.
I love to hear that.
So are you in Austin to stay?
I think so.
All right.
I'm liable to,
Except when we're going to film coming up, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Is that going to film in Ohio?
No. Well, now they're talking about Austin.
Oh, interesting.
I had an idea on the call with,
or maybe Waco.
I don't know. So I had an idea on the call with Angel Studios, and I was like, it's really cool when you watch a movie, and they'll say like all the people that played these parts were actually those people. And so I was like, it'd be awesome if like the people that are in recovery or the addicts or stuff like that actually were those people, or the veterans or soldiers are actually soldiers, and they love the idea. And so now he's talking about trying to do filming in Austin.
Okay.
So it'd be cool to like be able to invite my friends out to come be extras, and it actually be like legit people.
Yeah.
So I just think that'd be cool as hell.
Yeah, absolutely.
The way I can bring my community and get them involved, like that is what I do. So
I know filmmaker friends in Austin. We're here.
Let's go.
We out here.
Let's
go.
What do you got? You got anything else on the horizon? Anything big coming up?
I have some things in the works. I don't want to talk about them just yet publicly.
Okay.
But yes, there are some things happening.
So if somebody wants to tune in and find out what you're up to next, where do they do that at?
Follow me on social media.
Okay.
Instagram @go_Nino. It's my last name.
Is it Go Nino?
It's just go_Nino.
Okay, that's why I was trying to figure it out when I first. I liked the name, but I didn't realize it was your last name at first.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, we will be following along.
Yeah.
It was an absolute pleasure to get to know you. Is there anything we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about?
I'll come back. We'll have another episode sometime.
So the talks is where I'm gonna be doing episodes on set if this happens. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Angel Studios really like the podcast, so they want to get it involved.
Oh, great. All right, Angels, let's go.
We'll keep our fingers crossed. But I know now to just be happy with the conversations that it even happened and keep doing what I'm doing and hopefully good things happen.
That's right. Just make it happen.
Right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on. Thank you for braving that horrible traffic. Now, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
I have one question, and then I'm going to prepare you right now. The way we like to wrap up the episode, everybody's heard a little bit of your story. They got to know you a little bit, but we throw out I am statements.
Okay.
If you take a look in your camera when I tell you, it's just throw out a couple I am statements that describe who you are. It could be I am an actress, I am loved, I am a daughter, I'm the shit, whatever you want to say.
I'm the shit.
It could be any variation.
Okay.
But the one question I want to ask, it's my favorite question to ask for some reason. Hypothetically speaking, you're walking out tonight for the Women's World Championship at the UFC.
Oh, fun.
What is your walkout song? What's that song that gets you pumped up?
Eye of the Tiger.
Is it?
Yeah.
Let's go. We went to
Eye of the Tiger, it's the thrill of the night. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah.
And we got
Rocky.
We even got some bars out of our good stuff. Let's go. Allie, thank you. It was an absolute pleasure. I look forward to getting to know you more and seeing what we can do in the future.
Love it.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Woo.
Love that.
Do I do my I am now?
Oh, we didn't do it.
Oh, we can do it. I can do it. You can cut it in.
Yeah.
Right? I am. I just go?
Yeah, let Shawn take you into it.
Okay.
The whole thing? Or just prompt?
Just a little, if you would look at your